Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, we appreciate that. If you were checking us out later, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We'd appreciate you checking us out there. Of course, Facebook keeps these online as well. Of course, we want to remind folks that we do have a whole free page on our website, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. That's where you can check out all the information we've been publishing. It is free. I want to remind folks that it is free, so appreciate you checking that out. Traffic today, pretty normal, pretty standard as we've gotten used to over the past, about a month. So I guess at this point, maybe a little less than a month, moving into probably week 4. Minor delays at 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190 in Denham Springs, as well as minor delays at Range Avenue and 190, as well as delays at 190 and Juban Road. So still some essential folks going to work, that kind of thing. Maybe some folks being able to social distance at work. But for the most part, people are staying home. Of course, school is out, and we're going to have a big announcement this morning on the show about school. So we'll get to that in a second. Or some of you may already know. We'll check that out. Weather, you're looking at 61 degrees currently. How about that laser light show last night? Big thunderstorm came through last night, brought in some cool weather. It's only going to get up to 72 today, but it's going to be a beautiful day. It's a mixture of clouds and sun, but for the most part, like right now, you're going to get some nice sun peeking through these clouds. 52, your overnight low. So it's going to get chilly tomorrow night here in mid-April. As far as I did this yesterday. I'm not going to do it to them today. We'll talk about Layne Hardy first for those folks that wanted to join us looking for that information. Then we'll move into the coronavirus, and you may leave if you'd like. Layne Hardy, again, he announced his album earlier in the week. He's coming out with a new album here about a year after he won American Idol. Now, here amid the novel coronavirus, he is trying something new in digital to try to open his own virtual tour. It begins tonight at 6 p.m. That's Friday, April 10th. On the Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers main Facebook page. Okay, they have Facebook pages for a lot of their individual restaurants. You're looking for their main Facebook page. He will be doing a live concert on that page. And as long as, concert venues are closed and that sort of thing, he will be doing these virtual tours throughout Facebook pages over the next coming weeks. Please check out www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus and look for the Layne Hardy story. It has a full list of his tours and where he'll be stopping after this. But remember, tonight on the main Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers Facebook page, 6 p.m., check him out. And bye to those folks who were just looking for the Layne Hardy information. Now, moving on to the coronavirus, 18,293 cases confirmed in Louisiana. That's on 87,000 tests. So testing still ramping up, according to the governor. We're competing with New York as for first and second per capita in terms of testing. 702 deaths. 2,019 in hospitals with 473 on ventilators. Want to remind folks about the modeling. The modeling is mostly based on deaths, hospitalizations, and ventilators. Of course, ventilators going down as they're trying not to use those as much or as early in the process of treating COVID-19. They have determined intubating causes a lot of stress for people. It hurts, it's very bad for those underlying conditions. And of course, those with underlying conditions are already at risk because of the way COVID-19 acts and some of the harsher, specifically the pneumonia portions of the disease. So they're trying not to use those as much, trying to find other methods. Of course, we talked the past 2 days about Attorney General Jeff Landry securing a bunch of hydroxychloroquine or Plaquenil, which seems to be also very effective in treating this. Now, unfortunately, what a lot of people have brought up on Facebook and that kind of thing, things are looking optimistic, but the numbers continue to grow. However, that growth is not as large and jumping as it was, especially at the end of last week, but coming in early this week. So it's looking to slow down. That's what flattening the curve is all about. It's got to slow down first. So it'll slow, it'll peak, and then it'll drop. So that's what we're hoping for sometime in the next week. So please, keep that, be watching, be mindful of these numbers. Of course, the big warning yesterday, before I get into the governor's conference, 103 cases in Livingston Parish on 289 tests. Want to remind folks, you do have to have a doctor's recommendation to go to the testing sites, but there are 2 sites, one at Our Lady of the Lake, Livingston. It is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Please remember, you got to have a doctor's note. Also at Lake After Hours on Highway 16, just north of whatever you want to call it. I call it the fast food 4-way, just north of Lockhart and Highway 190. There is a rapid testing facility there, so you can go check that out. But remember, you have to utilize telehealth to get on with your doctor to be able to go to these sites. And we'll talk about some of those mitigation efforts after we discuss the initial warning that Governor John Bel Edwards put out yesterday, which actually he began Wednesday, and that is there is no exemption from the stay-at-home order for Easter. He knows that in Louisiana, Easter weekend, of course, today is Good Friday, so happy Good Friday to some of you, I guess, who are Catholic, or those of you who are just happy it's Good Friday. For a lot of Louisianians, this is a big crawfish weekend. This is a big family gathering weekend. It's just, it's supposed to be a holiday type weekend, a congregational type weekend, that kind of thing, fellowship. What he's asking is that folks treat this Easter differently. Don't gather 10 or more. Try to keep to your core family units, or those folks that you're living with and that you've been staying at home with. Don't have block parties. Don't have giant, huge family-sized crawfish boils. Try to enjoy fellowship with your close family. Try to remember the social distancing type deals and those mitigation efforts. No gatherings 10 or more. Trying to make sure that this does not spike. So that's one of the other things that we'll talk about in just a second after we talk about the mitigation efforts. Please remember to wash your hands for 20 seconds or more with soap and water. Do not touch your face. I'm now including that second so I don't forget it. Stay 6 feet or more away from people in public, so that social distancing mantra. Please disinfect common surfaces at home and at the office. Want to remind folks that if you are sick, you need to stay home. Utilize telehealth to get in touch with your doctor. So, one of the things that he was talking about, that would be the governor, is he was asked yesterday, what does this look like after? And aside from talking about some tests, which we're going to talk about a lot of the testing that he brought up next week, one of the things that he discussed was this isn't a light switch. April 30th isn't going to hit, and then we go to May 1st, and then life is going to go back to normal. That's just not the way this is going to work. There are a huge percentage of Louisianians who are still very susceptible to this virus. They never got it. Right now they're saying, with 18,000 cases, perhaps, twice or three times more than that, that might have it and just not know it because they're asymptomatic. That's still a small, very small percentage of Louisianians. So the problem becomes if you just open the floodgates and let people go back out, and go back to life as normal, we're going to see a spike again. Now, there was no hypothetical about, if they had to shut it back down or anything. We'll see a spike again as this thing will start to spread. So they are working on a plan. If these data points continue to trend and show a flattening of the curve, they're working on a plan, as are the feds. This is being backed up by the federal government. They are saying, it's going to have to be a certain way. There's going to have to be a certain release pattern for folks. So what does that affect? Well, yesterday we learned that spring sports are canceled, as well as the remaining winter championships. All that stuff's canceled. So please keep that in mind. Please keep those seniors in your thoughts. That's a tough way to end their high school careers. Also, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, or BESE, along with the Superintendent's Administration, sent in letters to the governor asking him, I guess you can say politely, to cancel the rest of school for this year. They've already waived a lot of those responsibility tests and things of that nature. So they went ahead and said, with it getting to April 30th / May 1st, before kids can return to school, and the fact that there is a lot of concern that or a lot of discussion that it's just not going to go back to the way it was immediately before we started dealing with this novel coronavirus. They figured the health, safety, and welfare of not only the kids and the families they go home to, but the teachers and the faculty and the staff. They have requested that the governor go ahead and cancel school. We are expecting that announcement today for this school year. Now, someone on Facebook asked, what about next August? She said that there was a lot of stories going around. None of them are true. Right now, the modeling is at best 10 days in the future. Of course, the reason, obviously May 1st is a little more than 10 days, but the reason they're going ahead and making that decision is because at both the federal level and the state level, they're saying it's just not going to go back to the way it was. And they're not entirely sure how they're going to do school. But please remember, they are going to have a graduation for seniors. They're just not sure what that looks like yet. So your seniors will graduate. So anyway, they're going to be looking to work through that plan. But please, please, please do not expect May 1st to come and that all of this just goes back to normal. That's not the way this is going to work. There's still a lot going on. So anyway, a lady on Facebook had asked about August and that there were stories going around. The fact of the matter is nobody knows. And I know that there are people out there that literally sent like a wave of anger or anxiety through them, but nobody knows. A lot of it is going to depend on whether or not there's a tried and true therapeutic treatment for it, which means that Plaquenil maybe gets the thumbs up from the government and the FDA that says that it is a tried and true method to treat COVID-19 or a vaccine. One of those has to exist. Just to give you some numbers, okay, there are 27,000 kids in Livingston Parish schools that go home to, I know in this day and age, we have a lot of split families and things of that nature. So let's just say that they go home to, you can't even call it 2.5 people because maybe some people have brothers and sisters. So 2 people, maybe a mom and a brother or, mom and dad, that kind of thing. That's a lot of people. That's well over half of Livingston Parish right there. Now, based on the current census, we'll be looking for that census data pretty soon. Not pretty soon. The deadline is August. But we'll be looking for that census data later in the year. But that's a lot of people that are potentially right in harm's way. And, of course, schools are putting these kids all together. So that's one of the reasons they made that decision. Still, August is up in the air, and you're probably not going to get an answer on that until later in the summer. Until they figure out, okay, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, this is what kind of treatments we have. So please, a lot of this is still in flux. Not entirely sure what May 1st is even going to look like, much less August. I think it would be 8th. So please keep that in mind. We are expecting an announcement today that schools are going to be canceled for the rest of this year. Be retooling for August to see and waiting to see what kind of things come out of Louisiana Department of Health, Bessie, that sort of thing. So moving forward after that sort of dreary news, the feds announced yesterday that they are looking directly at high employment sectors, especially those in the natural resources department, oil, gas, wind, power, those sorts of things, as well as some large-scale industrial manufacturers, including airlines and those sorts of things, and car manufacturers, trying to make sure that, if people are losing their jobs, they can find a way to help them. Of course, unemployment continues to spike. People continue to apply. About 6 million folks have been looking into this and have been applying. It's roughly a 2% increase in the population. So you're looking at about 2% unemployment at the moment. Speaking of oil in some of those industries, yesterday late Wednesday, Congressman Garret Graves co-signed onto a letter to the Saudi Crown Prince asking him from his angle, as OPEC and the Russians continue to have a oil battle, asked him to sit down at the negotiating table and try to bring some stabilization to the oil market. Of course, combined with the coronavirus, that has hurt Louisiana employment quite a bit. And it's been rather tough for some folks, obviously, and it's tough for the state. Price of oil affects the budget. So please, we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Let's hope that he is successful. The libraries are to remain closed through April 30th, per the governor and president's mandates about April 30th. So keep that in mind. Of course, they are offering free Wi-Fi in their parking lot. There was a neat story that came out of Five Star Printing. Mr. Danny Palin, a former nurse who is now in the commercial printing business, happened to have a cutting machine that he used for some of his larger materials that's able to cut acrylic. Well, an idea came through Auctioneer Health System about acrylic shields that would help protect doctors and nurses when they had to intubate new patients or put in a ventilator. There's a lot of mess that comes with that. And I hate to put it that way, but there's no other way to describe it. There's a lot of coughing, a lot of spit, that sort of thing. Even when they are completely shielded up with PPE, there are a lot of issues that can come from that. Obviously, droplets enter the air, that kind of thing. The shield is supposed to catch all that, and in between intubations, of course, it's cleaned. So Mr. Palin, they sent him the specs. Because of the machine he had, he was able to cut them to those specs, submitted a few samples. They loved them. They bought some from him, helping a small business in this time. And he called up there about a week after he had designed them and asked them if they were using them. They said, yeah, we use them all the time. So a great thing from Mr. Danny Palin, making those, of course, a former nurse trying to help his friends on the front line. So thank you to Mr. Palin as one of the many folks in Livingston Parish who have stepped up to either manufacture things, a lot of folks making cloth masks and stuff. We want to thank you for that. Ms. Angie Cornett, who is a clerk at the parish council offices, has created a Facebook page for education opportunities. She's also created one about if you're seeking a job here in Livingston Parish because you happen to have been laid off. So you can go check those out. Again, it's Livingston Parish Job Seekers. And I forget the name of the educational one. We ran the story yesterday, is online, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus, but you can go there to check out, folks trying to help each other. This worked for my kid, this didn't, that kind of thing. Trying to help these parents that suddenly became homeschoolers. Also wanted to remind folks, the parish council did meet yesterday. It was a brief meeting. They were just meeting for some essential business, which was to approve a resolution to place the 1 cent sales tax for roads on the fall ballot. After talking with a few parish councilmen last night, it's not clear whether or not they'll meet again. They will if there is important or essential business. But some were okay with the way that it went down. Some were not real pleased with it. And some were saying, well, unless we have essential business, I'd rather not meet. So we'll see what happens. But during that presentation, during the question and answer period, it was suggested that roughly $4.5 million goes towards the Department of Public Works for salaries and employment and that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see, according to the parish president, he was looking to move the DPW expenses out of the road program and pull them under the parish sometime during this term for his administration. We'll see if they'll be able to do that. Of course, salary and all that is not the only thing that goes into the Department of Public Works. And that's it. One more time, please remember that Layne Hardy will be on the Facebook page, the main Facebook page for Raising Cane, 6 p.m. to kick off his virtual tour. Also, 18,293 coronavirus cases in Louisiana, 702 deaths, 2,019 in hospitals on 473 ventilators, 87,000 tests have been performed. 103 cases in Livingston Parish on 289 tests. One last time we did traffic, pretty normal. Delays at 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190. You're also looking at delays at Range Avenue and 190. You're also looking at delays at Juban Road and 190. It's currently 61 degrees. 72 degrees is your high. 52 your overnight low. That laser light show brought through a pretty nice cold front. Going to stay cool for a couple of days. It's going to be a pretty day today. One last time, want to remind folks, please be mindful of the social distancing and the mitigation efforts this weekend for Easter. There is no exemption from the stay-at-home order for Easter. You can still boil crawfish. Just do it with your close core family or the people that you're staying at home with. We're all trying to get through this together. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Remember, we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. We are also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Of course, you can find these shows at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. This will be our final show for this week. We will be back in the booth Monday to catch you up with everything that happened over the weekend, including new numbers that will be released on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, you can remember the numbers kind of slow down as testing slows down over the weekend. However, those hospitalization numbers tend to stay up to date, so we'll keep you apprised of those. And we will see you. We hope you have a wonderful Easter. Hope you have a great day. And we will see you Monday morning right here in the booth.